The Russian stove secret that made firewood last 3 times longer, and why modern heating still can't beat it. You're burning money every time your fire dies too fast. Not because of bad wood, not because of weak flames, but because you're missing a centuries-old trick that turned brutal winters into survivable comfort. And even in the chaos of World War II, it kept entire families warm with shockingly little fuel. This isn't just history. This is a system so efficient, so quietly powerful, that modern heating still struggles to match it without complex tech. And once you understand it, you'll never look at a fireplace the same way again. Let's break it down. The hidden genius behind the Russian stove. The traditional Russian stove wasn't just a firebox, it was a heat machine, a slow, deliberate, almost strategic way of using fire. Most modern fireplaces are wasteful. You burn wood, you get quick heat, and then it disappears. Heat rises, escapes, vanishes. You keep feeding the fire. More wood, more loss. The Russian stove flipped that logic. Instead of chasing instant heat, it focused on storing heat. Thick masonry walls absorbed the energy from a short, intense burn. Then, over the next 12 to 24 hours, that stored heat slowly radiated back into the room. One fire, whole day of warmth. That's where the magic starts. Why it tripled firewood efficiency. The secret comes down to 3 things: heat retention, controlled airflow, and complete combustion. First, the materials. These stoves were built from brick, clay, or stone. Heavy materials that don't just get hot, they hold heat. Once the fire burns, those walls act like a battery. They charge up with thermal energy and release it gradually. Second, airflow design. Inside the stove, smoke doesn't just go straight up and out. It travels through a maze of channels, back and forth, up and down. Every inch of that journey extracts more heat from the smoke before it leaves. Think about that. In a normal fireplace, heat escapes with the smoke. In a Russian stove, the smoke is forced to give up its heat first. Nothing wasted. Third, combustion efficiency. These stoves burned hot and fast, not slow and smoky. A clean, intense burn means more energy is extracted from each piece of wood. Less soot, less creosote, more usable heat. Put it all together and you're using up to 3 times less firewood for the same warmth. That's not theory, that's survival math. The World War II survival advantage. During World War II, fuel shortages hit hard across Eastern Europe. Firewood wasn't always easy to find. Winters didn't care. This is where the Russian stove proved its worth. Families could burn a small load of wood once or twice a day and stay warm through freezing nights. Soldiers and civilians alike relied on these systems in rural homes, not because they were fancy, but because they worked. No electricity, no gas, no moving parts, just design. And in war, simplicity wins. Why modern heating still struggles to match it? Now, here's the twist. You'd think modern systems would completely outperform something this old. But not always. Modern heating is built for convenience. Turn a knob, press a button, get instant heat. But that convenience often comes at the cost of efficiency. Central heating systems lose heat through ducts. Fireplaces lose heat up the chimney. Electric heaters convert energy quickly, but don't store it. The Russian stove plays a different game. It's not about speed. It's about endurance. Once heated, it keeps working long after the fire is gone. No constant input, no repeated fuel use, just steady, reliable warmth. To replicate that today, you need advanced thermal mass heaters or masonry heaters. And even then, the principle is the same. Store heat, release it slowly. Old idea, still unbeaten. The overlooked comfort factor. There's another layer most people miss, the type of heat. Modern systems often heat the air. That warm air rises, cools, circulates. It creates uneven temperatures, hot ceiling, cold floor. The Russian stove radiates heat. It warms objects and people directly, like sunlight through a window. This creates a deeper, more stable comfort. The kind you feel in your bones, not just on your skin. And here's something else. Many of these stoves were built large enough to sleep on. The top surface stayed warm for hours. In freezing winters, that wasn't luxury. That was survival. What you can actually use today. You don't need to rebuild an ancient stove to apply this. The principles still work. Start with reducing heat loss. Close gaps. Seal drafts. Keep warmth inside. That's step one. Then think about heat storage. Even in a modern home, materials matter. Brick walls, stone surfaces, even water containers can help absorb and slowly release heat. If you use a wood stove, burn hotter and cleaner rather than slow and smoky. Short, intense fires are more efficient than weak, drawn-out ones. And most importantly, stop thinking of heat as something you need constantly produce. Start thinking of it as something you can store. That shift alone changes everything. Why this ancient tactic still matters. We live in a world obsessed with speed. Fast heat, fast solutions, instant results. But the Russian stove reminds us of something powerful. Efficiency isn't always about doing more. Sometimes it's about wasting less. Centuries ago, people didn't have the luxury of excess fuel. They had to make every log count. And in doing so, they created a system that still outperforms many modern setups in pure efficiency. That's not just history. That's a lesson. And maybe, just maybe, it's one worth bringing back. If you found this useful, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who's tired of wasting heat and money. And if you want more ancient tactics that still work today, hit subscribe and stay locked in.